is a swell farm, isn't it, Bud?
Since you're going to college at VPI, you'll appreciate it.
Yes, Bud. I found out a lot of things. There's more to agriculture in the state of Virginia than just this one farm. You'll find out for yourself in your high school boy ag class just what makes up agriculture in Virginia.
That fall, in the first session of his high school vocational agriculture class, Bud Wilson began to acquire a wider knowledge of the types of farming in Virginia from his VOAG teacher, Farley Peters.
Our state produces a wide variety of farm products. Here in our own county, we're largely a dairyland area. But let's examine some other areas and see what their chief farm activities are. Here, beef cattle production, commercial hog production, sheep, poultry, fruit orchards, timberlands, truck farming, tobacco, cotton, peanuts, and here, wheat, corn, and other crops. So you see, Virginia is a state of diversified farming, an industry that is one of the principal supports of our entire state economy.
The discussion then turned to the role of the state government in promoting the health of its farming industry.
Our state government aids our farmers in growing their products and marketing what they produce, but it also carries on other activities. How does our state agriculture program serve both our farmers and our citizens who consume farm products? Mainly by these methods: research, education, service, regulation, activities supported by state, federal, and local government taxes and by fees collected for special services. During the coming months, while we take up our own work, see if you can observe activities going on around you that fall into one or more of these categories. Class dismissed.
One day, in the company of his father, Bud Wilson had the opportunity to visit his brother on the campus of one of the Old Dominion's 2 land-grant colleges, the Virginia Polytechnic Institute, or VPI. There at Blacksburg, Bud was taken on a tour of the Virginia Agricultural Experiment Station. Here, Bud witnessed for himself research to enable Virginia's farmers to work their farms more profitably. Research that has helped produce new breeds of livestock and poultry, new varieties of seeds and crops, new techniques for conserving and utilizing Virginia's farm and forest lands, as well as new methods and machines for farming. In that one exciting day, Bud saw a great variety of research projects. Research in everything from good management practices in legume and crop production to soil and water conservation, from plant diseases to development of new resistant seed varieties, from sheep production to research in all types of livestock and poultry diseases. Indeed, a great number of research projects, not only in applied research to meet the immediate problems of Virginia's farmers, but also in pure or basic research. That day, Bud had opportunity to view several basic and applied research projects. For example, a project aimed at discovering new and more effective vaccines, also other preventive measures for livestock and poultry diseases. Day by day, week after week, a continuing research program aiding in the establishment of procedures for combating new as well as previously recognized diseases. Bud then saw phases of nutrition research aimed at producing more nutritious and economical rations in order that Virginia's poultry producers could offer to any buyer better and less expensive poultry products. In experimental rations, to determine the value of various ingredients in poultry diets, natural and synthetic substances are used. Prior to formulation of the ration, each ingredient is analyzed to be sure that the mixed ration meets desired nutritional requirements. The ration is then tested with small groups of poultry kept under carefully controlled conditions. Later, after favorable results are established, the ration is evaluated with floor pen size lots of chickens. In another area of the state experimental farm, Bud saw research going on in food processing in an effort to enlarge the market for food products by raising nutritional values in processed foods and by improving retention of flavor, texture, and color in processing. This project included use of better varieties for processing as well as development of new products, such as a new method for making vinegar from apple cider. Outdoors, in the company of a soil expert, hundreds of different types of soils that exist in Virginia. He also learned something of the pure or basic research going on in determination of the nature of soil types, their construction and characteristics. He saw a project in specific research, a study to seek the answer to an immediate question about the type of fertilizer required for a certain type of soil. This was only a small part of an extensive agricultural research program which included research in soil fertility, research in improved insecticides, in swine production, in dairying and dairy products, and in the host of other fields. Meanwhile, Bud learned that Blacksburg is only the hub of a larger system of agricultural research stations in the Old Dominion. For example, the Virginia State College at Petersburg, where investigations also go on in the production of field crops. In the operation and field adjustment of improved types of farming equipment. In dairying and dairy products, as well as in a number of other research activities. At the Tidewater Research Station at Holland, the production of soybeans, peanuts, cotton, corn, and other field crops is studied. While the Virginia Truck Experiment Station at Norfolk and its substation on the eastern shore are concerned with truck farming, so important in the eastern part of the state. An agricultural research program extending throughout Virginia, each concerned with farming problems common to their individual areas. In all, a program to develop knowledge to aid the farmers of the state to increase efficiency and lower their costs, and so benefit all of the people. And so, from what Bud learned that day, he was able to check off one of Virginia's far-reaching agricultural programs. But this research means little unless the results can be translated into practical application on Virginia's farms. That brought Bud to another program supported by state and other funds, education. Before leaving VPI, Bud was taken through the headquarters of the Virginia Agricultural Extension Service. Of the three functions of the land-grant college, resident instruction, agricultural research, and extension, Bud now discovered the purpose of extension, to help farmers and businesses allied with farming to work out their problems. Now Bud caught a glimpse of the host of informational media used to reach the thousands of farmers and farm families of the state. Motion pictures and slides, radio and TV broadcasts, magazines and other literature, tape recordings, bulletins and pamphlets, Meanwhile, at a branch headquarters of Extension Service at the Virginia State College at Petersburg, similar work goes on to help keep all of Virginia's farmers and farm families abreast of current developments in agriculture. Members of the Extension Service, as Bud learned, also serve as members of the college faculty. Now Bud came on a group of county agents gathered to hear a specialist of the Extension Service relay to them a recent development in research, which in turn they would take back to farmers in their own counties. That was the end of the crowded day Bud spent at Blacksburg. On the way home, stimulated by what he had seen, Bud could now see his own county agent in a new light, as his father reminded him of the many ways in which Mr. Adkins had helped work out several farm problems. The time, for example, when Bud's father wished to convert a fallow field to pasture.
Remember the time, Bud, when Bart Atkins came out to the farm helping me to work out that problem? Recommended that a soil test be made so I'd know the lime and fertilizer I'd need and how much? Then again, when I wanted to renovate the dairy barn, Bart Atkins was Johnny on the spot, showing me the different types of barns and how I could get economy and efficiency in my own operation. That and a number of other problems, Bud. Come what may, I knew I could depend on Bart Atkins to lend a helping hand, to see that I'd have the best knowledge available, whether it be for my pasture land, my crops, the herd, or even putting up a new farm building.
Just as in Bud's home county, in every county of Virginia, agents are at work helping farmers to help themselves through education. Whether it be in the selection of farm machinery, an improved method for tobacco curing, the storage of hay, sheep production, seedbed preparation for peanut production, insecticide protection for an orchard, maximum economic production of corn, battling the alfalfa weevil, or beef cattle production. Whether it be these or any of a number of problems that face our farmers in their daily operations, they know they can rely on their county agent for assistance, either by means of individual or group meetings.
Remember, Bud, when I wanted to plant the North Meadow to fescue, Bart Atkins arranged a trip to a pasture 10 miles away. There was an extension specialist there, giving us the benefit of that farm's experience. Another time, Bart arranged for me to go to the Northern Virginia Research Station at Middleburg, where we saw the effects of good and poor fertilizing. And of course, you know, Bud, about the farm meeting Bart holds in town, when all the farmers of the county get together to talk over common problems, improving the business of farming through education.
But farming means a home as well as a business. That night, Bud was reminded of another important function of the state agriculture program, the promotion of a better farm life among Virginia's farm families through the instrument of the home demonstration agent. As his mother talked, Bud recalled how the home agent had helped his mother the past summer, demonstrating improved methods of preparing preserves, also helping in the rearrangement of the kitchen for work simplification. Bud's mother had also attended meetings of Home Demonstration Club leaders, one of 40,000 Virginia women benefiting from the work of this organization through home projects in a multitude of fields, such as better food and nutrition for the farm family, improvements in home water supply, many types of clothing projects, home furnishings, home management, and rural arts. These and a number of other projects aimed at strengthening rural living in Virginia. And so Bud began to see the family farm as a home as well as a business, with a home agent and the county agent serving as the two major arms of extension for adult education, bringing the results of research to the farm in order to improve farm homemaking and farming methods. In town the next afternoon, Bud came upon still another function of the state agricultural program, education of Virginia's farmers through their district soil conservation committee. Local farmers working with soil conservation officials for improvement of the state's 15 million acres of farmland through a sound land use program, a service which, as all services extended to Virginia's farmers and farm families, arose out of established needs. But the results of agricultural research are also transmitted to Virginia's rural youth through the vocational agriculture program in the state's rural high schools. Education of our young people, many of whom will be our farmers of tomorrow. After class that day, Bud gained from Mr. Peters an idea of the nature of the vocational agriculture program in the public school system. Systematic and organized instruction of rural youth, such as Bud, enrolled in high school classes. Meanwhile, conducting supervised projects on the farm, putting into practice knowledge acquired in the classroom. However, throughout Virginia, there are also classes for young farmers not regularly enrolled in our school system, thousands of whom take back to their farms improved practices gained in the classroom. In addition, classes for adult farmers, taking time from their chores to learn of current practices and new developments in farming. But preparation for farm living extends also to rural young women, preparing for future responsibilities in high school homemaking classes, meanwhile performing home projects under supervision of their home economics teachers. But young and adult homemakers not regularly enrolled in the state's public school system also have the opportunity to attend vocational homemaking classes, all part of the extensive local and state vocational home economics activity in the public schools, an integral part of a program to strengthen Virginia's farm home life, to bring through education the benefits of current knowledge to the doorstep of every rural home. Several rural youth programs also play an important part among Virginia's farm families, future farmers of America and new farmers of America, helping to build our rural leaders of tomorrow. Under the guidance of the local vocational agriculture teacher and extension service leaders, thousands of Virginia's youth participating in various activities related to improved farming methods, and through their participation, learning to become not only better farmers, but also better citizens. Through the guidance of home economics teachers in our public schools, future homemakers of America and new homemakers of America, all working together on a variety of projects related to the home, gaining wider horizons of the needs for successful homemaking and the means to satisfy those needs. Still another important rural youth organization in Virginia, 4-H clubs scattered throughout the state, an integral part of the State Extension Service program, helping to instill in our young people a spirit for progress. Indeed, today there are about 70,000 4-H club members in the Old Dominion, boys and girls, under the guidance of extension workers, taking part not only in local activities, but in statewide assemblies. And so, by means of these organizations for our rural youth, foundations are being shaped today to ensure the continued growth of Virginia's rural society. But what opportunities for his own future in agriculture lay ahead, Bud wondered. Jim Wilson was home that weekend from college. He began to describe for Bud the resident instruction program at VPI in agriculture, higher education courses offered for those wishing to make a career in one of the many phases of that industry. perhaps as a teacher or extension worker, a farmer or forester, perhaps in one of the technical fields of home economics, or in a career carved out by modern agricultural science. Perhaps as a member of one of thousands of our nation's business firms, such as feed, seed, fertilizer, or wood-using industries, whose products are related to the health of our farm and woodlands. Today, more than ever, industry needs young people trained in agriculture. Today, there are many careers offered in research in some phase of agriculture. And there are careers in education, as BOAG or home economics teachers, or county agents, or in another phase of extension. And of course, there's the important career of running one's own farm according to up-to-date standards and practices. Now Bud was able to check off the second major element of the state agricultural program. That brought him to the third, service. Bud was now able to add activities of the State Department of Agriculture and of the State Forester to what he had already learned. One day, when the local veterinarian appeared on Mr. Wilson's farm to inspect his dairy herd, Bud learned the story of the protection offered livestock growers of the state. The blood samples taken from his father's herd were to be sent to a regional regulatory laboratory, one of several maintained by the state for the diagnosis of diseases of cattle, swine, poultry, and sheep, contagious diseases that could affect great numbers of livestock. But diagnosis is only half of the story of battling animal diseases. Eradication is the second half. State inspectors and field workers quarantining a premise once a contagious disease has been discovered, erecting a barrier to help prevent the spread of the disease. All part of the story of the activities of our state government in maintaining a healthy agriculture. Evidence of pullorum, one of various diseases that afflict poultry. Again, at a state laboratory, this evidence is confirmed by means of scientific analysis, with steps then taken by field workers to determine the presence of the disease and eradicate it from a flock, one of various measures to support the health of Virginia's large broiler and egg production industry, of strengthening the effort of Virginia's poultry producers to breed high-quality poultry, an effort that extends from the hatchery all the way to the farm, all the way to the grading and inspection of eggs to be sold to the public. Service. Service to our farmers in promoting the growth of their products, the food and much of the fiber Virginia citizens buy each day. One of the state's most important products is its timberland. One afternoon, Bud accompanied Bart Atkins on his rounds. From the county agent, Bud gained a glimpse of the importance of this crop to the state's economy.
It's part of the job of extension, Bud, to educate farmers who own woodlands about the value of their timber. Today, timber is one of the big cash crops of the Old Dominion. Today, the farmer no longer regards his woodlot as an unprofitable use of his land. From another arm of the state government, the state forester provides the farmer with an important service in helping him realize full value from his crop. From the time, through development of the forest plantation, he obtains and plants his seedlings, to the time he is ready to thin out his trees, and then selects and marks the trees he means to harvest. In addition, the state forester is busy aiding woodland owners in battling the forest menace of insects and disease. Also, he helps to prevent destructive forest fires. And if one does break out, he helps to control it. Yes, Bud, Virginia's farm woodlots are no longer forgotten acres. Today they mean more income,
for our farmers. Income from poles, lumber, saw logs, as well as from pulpwood. And all over Virginia's private woodlands, the state forester has a job of working with our farmers to reap the most abundant harvest from their timber.
Driving on, Bart Adkins came to a small fence post treatment plant, a plant that depended for its raw materials on the farmer.
Here's an industry tie-in, Bud, with a woodlot owner. The state encourages industries that must go to the farm for their products. Industries of all types that help support the farmer by providing him with cash income during slack seasons. Industries that are part of our agricultural economy.
As the county agent and Bud drove on that afternoon, they came to a farm with a large stand of corn. Here, Bart Adkins halted to tell Bud of services offered row crop farmers of the state, those growing tobacco, peanuts, cotton, and fruit, as well as corn.
The farmer, Bud, is first given help in the analysis of his soil. The seed he has bought from a commercial concern is tested in a state laboratory in order to attest to its germination and purity. On a test plot maintained by the state, these qualities are tried out in the field. Before and after planting his seed, the farmer must decide what fertilizer to buy. But how does he know the bag contains what its label states? The state, Bud, gives him that assurance by spot-checking bags of fertilizer sold by commercial concerns. Then, to get the best yield, the farmer must protect his crop against insects. Which insecticide shall he buy? Again, the state provides him with assurance of the reliability of various insecticides sold to Virginia farmers by commercial concerns. Yes, Bud, even the motor fuel the farmer uses has been tested to see that it is up to standard. Remember, Bud, services offered to tobacco, peanuts, cotton, fruit, and other row crop farmers of the state.
Returning to the Wilson farm, Bart Adkins halted the truck again. The scene reminded Bart of the hay and grain inspection service offered by the state on request to farmers for a small fee. An inspection of farm facilities for storage of hay and grain for their moisture content, cleanliness, and safeguards against rodents and insect contamination. Then Bud learned of the grain inspection and grading service extended by the state to storage facilities, elevators, and warehouses. Indeed, an inspection and grading service for almost all of Virginia's farm products, helping the farmer realize the greatest profit from his production, meanwhile protecting the family in what it buys. For example, animal inspection on the farm. Checking the cleanliness and sanitation of every dairy barn, every milk house, and its equipment. Checking delivery equipment that bears the farmer's milk to the dairy. Checking the cleanliness and sanitation of every processing plant. At the livestock market, inspection and grading aids the farmer in evaluating the worth of his cattle. Just as at the farmer's market, at the cannery, at the slaughterhouse. Meanwhile, the state's inspection and grading service aids the housewife in providing her with firm assurance of quality according to the grade of the commodity she purchases, thus helping the farmer also by improving the marketability of the farm's production. It was dusk by the time Bart Adkins dropped Bud off at the Wilson farm. That evening, on his father's desk, Bud happened to see a market news letter. What did it mean? The next day after class, Bud asked Mr. Peters, his VOAG teacher, about another important function of the state agricultural program.
The state of Virginia, Bud, not only promotes the farmer's expectation to grow a crop, but also to market his crop. For example, take the Shenandoah Valley and Virginia's apple crop. For this, as well as for other crops, state marketing experts are working daily to provide new marketing outlets by means of all types of informational media. Likewise, state marketing experts are busy trying to expand Virginia's marketing outlets for our livestock, our cotton and tobacco, as well as other commodities. Another thing, remember the market newsletter you saw? The state's Market News Service issues a daily report to all of our farmers by radio, TV, newspaper stories, as well as by direct mail, informing them of current market conditions so our farmers can decide what and how much to plant and when to sell or store their crop. Still another service provided our farmers, crop reports, statistical reports filled out by individual farmer reporters, giving information about the status of their crops, recent weather affecting their crops, and other information of aid to all farmers in the state. Finally, all these reports are collected and published each week in newspapers throughout the state. Just a glimpse, Bud, of various marketing and production services extended to Virginia's farming population.
And so Bud was ready to check off the third major pillar that supports the state agricultural program. Next came regulation, primarily the concern of the State Department of Agriculture. Getting his heifer ready for showing at the county fair occupied Bud for the next few days. But in his goings to and coming from town, Bud was not too busy to take note of another function of the state, its various regulatory activities. For example, enforcement of state weights and measures laws for the protection of the farmer at weighing stations where his products are sold. But this protection also extends to Virginia's citizens in every commercial transaction where a determination of quantity is involved. Back on the farm, Bud saw other examples of the regulatory function of the state. For instance, Virginia's paint law that helps ensure the quality of paint sold to the public. Virginia's feed law calling for registration of every feed and remedy sold in the state. State licensing of all bulk tank drivers for grade A milk permits, as well as regulation by permit of ice cream plants, all part of the state's regulatory activities. Time out for Virginia's farming population. Time out from their daily chores. The county fair, marking that time of the year when the fruits of the farmer's labor are harvested. But Virginia's agriculture program affects more than our rural citizens. For agriculture in the Old Dominion contributes in large measure to our standard of life, to the strength of the state's industrial complex, to the many industries that rely on our rural regions for sources of labor as well as raw materials. Indeed, the effects of the state agriculture program are far-reaching. Through research, education, service, and regulation, Virginia's agriculture program has an impact on each of us, on the daily lives of all of our people, young and old, in the county, in the state, in the nation. This is the story of your state government's activities in the field of agriculture. It is for you to decide whether the extent of these activities is too much or too little, how much is desired, and how much we can afford.